Well, on the stream, we're doing some 6-7 Arkansas story time.
We are at the campfire south of the flags.
I've got on my PJs.
Yeah. While you're at it, can you please make sure the wind is turned off? Because that can sometimes affect microphones when people hear it.
How fast does the wind get?
It gets loud.
It can get a little... It's not really fast. It can just get loud. And with my mic being garbage, I need every help I can get.
Hardware and sound.
And now we're getting rain. Dr. Pepsi, I think you just are running too far south.
Nope, sounds like somebody died.
Is it in the camps?
I think he went to sleep over in that tent.
Yeah, we're in the camps. If you go to where the flags are, we're just right behind the flag.
Yeah.
Oh, I see you guys.
If he needs anything, I'll give him mouth to foot, so just let him know.
Sherry's a born medic.
Is he alright?
He disappeared.
Oh.
There's a gun, but there's no man.
Oh, maybe, is it?
I'll be talking in game since we got Sherry with us.
Yeah, there wasn't even a blood spot.
Alright.
Man.
In a wee long time ago, more like 13 hours, 14 hours ago, Sergeant Major Taco of 6 Arkansas woke up. He rolled over in bed and there he saw it. The scariest thing he had ever seen. And then he got even more scared because she said, "Good morning, honey, I'm going to make us some breakfast." Anyway, now for the real story. That's
God.
Guys in the movie.
And then he went to take a piss, and it was filled with a
I'm
child.
already gonna have nightmares, dude.
And
then he realized he had to celebrate Father's Day. Can I go home? I'm scared.
I think we should all celebrate. We know how to use a condom day.
Toss it into the fire. We'll burn it. That way your kids can go up and smoke, as you say. All right. The year is 1910. And an archaeologist all the way from...
Alright, guys. I'm gonna try this out and see if it works.
He goes by. He arrives in Egypt. Cairo itself. As he gets off the boat into Cairo, he can feel the hot sun of the Middle East blazing down on him. He hears all sorts of critters just making sounds, shopkeepers trying to sell things. And as he gets off, he goes over to the Cairo Museum and checks on in. When he gets there, Dr. Walther finds Dr. Petrie, the head of the Cairo Museum. And as they introduce each other, he asks Dr. Petrie, "Where is it that we are going this day, sir?" And Petrie looks at him and replies, "We are heading to former Jerusalem, for a place right outside that is where some crusaders have done battle. We are going to dig around and see if we can prove whether or not that story is true." Well, Sir Walter, he was fine with that. I mean, he came all the way from England, so he was going to see where exactly this would take him. So Dr. Walter and Dr. Petrie, after getting a caravan, out for Jerusalem. About 2 days later, after wandering through the scorching desert, they came across their place. It was a simple mountainous area, perfect for anybody to do an ambush at, or for people just to hide out at. And as they started to take a look at the mountain, comparing it with manuscripts, they thought that this had to be the place. But as they were unsure, well, there's only one way to find out. And so they begun to dig, using dynamite to blow up parts of the mountain, then workers digging to find the rest. For 4 days, those people dug, and 4 nights others dug as well. And they still could not find anything. And as they were giving up, someone who was just happening to dig some in the sand came across a little bit of a bone. As he called Dr. Petrie and Sir Walter over, they began to excavate it, and the bones began to reveal themselves even more. As they peeled back the sands, they came across more and more bones. And as they peeled back the sands again and again and again, they found tabards with a red cross draped over them. They were sure that they had just found the bodies of crusaders. And as they excavated the crusaders, they began to find just little personal effects. Some of them had weapons, but most of them just had little pieces of jewelry or an iron cross around their neck. Just simple things. Obviously could tell that these men had to be killed in battle, for some of them bore scars even on their bones of war. As they started to excavate their bodies even more, they found themselves kind of disappointed, for is this really all they came out for? I mean, this does validate their story, but how big and how far did this go? So they decided to search a little bit more. Very sure it was only a matter of time until they would find some Saracen bodies laying around. Well, they continued to excavate the mountain, and as they excavated the mountain, they set a dynamite charge, and as they blew it up, some more rocks crumbled. But then, one of the workers, he screamed out, "Effendi, Effendi, Effendi!" Dr. Petrie and Sir Walter ran up to see what the head digger was screaming about. And as they got up, they see it. They see within the rock, clearly something that was made to be some sort of a door. They have no clue what it is. Well, they decide that they're going to go in. So they use their pickaxe to dig right through that door.
Yeah, we can hear you.
And as they finish digging through
Okay, so now
into a
everything
little
wants
bit
to
of
work.
the chamber.
Funny how that
As
works.
they let the ancient air out of the chamber and let
Join the
new
trail
air
camp and
in,
come to the,
first time light
story.
flinging into the darkness. They grabbed a lantern and ventured forth into this chamber to investigate it. As they went into the chamber, they found was something that shocked them. They found what looked to be 3 dead Crusader knights with their armor, their tabards, their weapons. And because they were sealed up, they still were kind of mummified. It terrified them to see it. Whatever had happened, these people were clearly sealed up in here. Theorizing that these 3 people were accidentally sealed up or purposely sealed up in a Saracen ambush, and that the men outside were just other guards of a patrol, they decided that they were going to take these bodies out, and hopefully these mummified bodies could be identified from which country they came from. As they were very carefully excavating the bodies out, one of the workers found something and called the doctor.
So basically, everything just like it works for a second.
Yep.
It works for a second, and then they just stopped working.
I'm not sure how to help you with that, man.
What the heck is happening?
And Sir Walter walked over to the worker to see what he had found.
Let me try these headphones on my Xbox controller and see if it's the headphones.
Ancient language that neither of them could look at, but Dr. Petrie thought it might be Assyrian. Unsure of what it was, they thought that maybe perhaps these people had found some old Saracen or Middle Eastern tablet that was important information, and that's why they brought it, or they somehow got sealed up. They don't really know what exactly happened. They have their theories. Well, they decided to take the tablets and the bodies out, and they set them in a separate tent where they could transport them back to the museum, and they would come out within the next week again to go ahead and search for even more, for they could clearly tell this was a decent archaeological find. As they went to bed that night, one thing kind of worried them. As the jackals were howling off in the distance of the evening, and the moon was high in the sky, they thought that they could hear the sound of yelling over the sands. When they looked out their tents to check it with their rifles, they didn't see anything. They could swore there was a screaming sound in the distance, like people were yelling in an angry fray. The very next day, as they woke up, Dr. Petrie and Sir Walter began their long journey back into the Cairo Museum. As they got back to the Cairo Museum, they began to investigate even more. They had discovered that one of the bodies of the Crusaders was missing. They had no idea what it was, but they were going to go and find wherever it must have been. They must have dropped it on the way back somehow, or maybe one of the workers stole it. They don't know, but they're going to find them. So they begin their journey back with the same workers, keeping a very close eye on them, hoping that they might catch a glimpse or a clue to what happened to the body. When they get back to the excavation site, they begin to excavate again. While they're excavating, a European-looking man, he comes walking out of the rocks, And he's wearing, kind of the traditional Middle Eastern Arabic clothing of like any old farmer. Whenever he looks at him, he walks up to them and says, "What are you doing here, good sirs?" And they tell him, they inform him of their discovery and what has happened. And the man says, "Sir, I would advise you not to touch this. This is a very cursed place right here. The Templars that came through here were messing with something they shouldn't have, so the Saracens sealed them up. That is the story around here. I would advise you leave it alone." But they didn't really want to listen to him. Continued their excavation for 3 more days and still found nothing. And exhausted and running out of supplies, they headed back to the Cairo Museum. As they were heading back to the Cairo Museum, they were met by another caravan that was bringing a message out to them. The tablets that were found within the first run had disappeared from the museum. Clearly, somebody was stealing these. Stole the body and then stole the tablet. Theorizing it might be some cultist group or people looking to steal money, or as maybe even doing tomb robbery of some kind, they began to post security. They posted 2 guards watching it day and night. Each would work a 12-hour shift as needed. Well, as the AM guard came in the early morning to relieve the blood pouring out of his back and also staining the floor and the leather chair he was sitting on. As he walked over to investigate, he could tell very clearly that this man had been stabbed with a sword. Very worried, he called the police and informed the Cairo police, and the Cairo police immediately responded. They began to search around for someone who had stabbed him. They knew it was of some type of sword, but they couldn't really guess which type. It was most likely some medieval-style sword, though. It wasn't any of the ceremonial stuff they could find around. That was clear enough. As the police were searching around, Sir Walter and Dr. Petrie, they were worried. They had thought about this guy who told them to leave the tablet and all those crusaders and stuff alone. Perhaps...
if you guys aren't aware, we have a field manual. If you guys can jump on that to get requests.
We're having a story time, and
you are.
Sorry, okay. Someone's talking in Discord, Sherry. Yeah, I've seen the manual. We're having a story time in the campfire right now.
Okay.
All right. Worried that perhaps this European man might have been warning them that there is maybe some cult of some kind, they began to try to do some investigations on the tablet. Some photographs were taken of the tablet, and as they begin to look at it and try to decipher it, they do find out it is some sort of Assyrian Babylonian style language, something which they have not learned to translate back in 1910, although they could translate it today very easily. As they begin to go through books and more studies and stuff like that, somebody busts into the room. One of the staff at the museum. He says, "Dr. Petrie, sir." Dr. Petrie looks up at him. "Yes?" "Dr. Petrie, somebody has found the body of the crusader that was stolen, as well as the tablets. They were just laying in a back alley with a blanket over them." Relieved that they had finally gotten their pieces back, Dr. Petrie and Sir Walter had decided that they were going to export the stuff all the way back into England and would work there.
Sorry, guys, I'm trying to test on my mic.
Mess with them there. Well, Dr. Petrie would bid Sir Walter farewell, but promised to come and see him at some point. Just wanting to be curious of, what was the story behind these people once they had found out. So Sir Walter had sailed all the way home for his beloved British Isles. Yep, we're making waffles just as we're making stories. As Sir Walter gets back into England, he's reunited with some of his friends from school. He's also reunited with more of his buddies, who are all part of the British Museum in London. Their names were not... These were good friends of Dr. Walter's, by the way, who had went through school with him. There was Sir Walter. There was Sir John. There was Sir Alec. There was also Sir Sherry. I promise, Sherry, I did not get that idea from you, but hey, you're inspiring it still. And there was also Sir Charles. These gentlemen began to work day and night around the clock, studying, translating, trying everything they could to begin to decipher the text of this ancient tablet, which they were sure it had to be from Babylonia or Assyria, as they began to compare it with writing from other artifacts of those civilizations. Well, Sir Walter, Sir Charles, Sir Sherry, and gosh dang it, okay, I keep forgetting the names. This is the part that always mixed up. There's Sir Walter, Sir Sherry, Sir Robert, and that's 4, right? Is that 4 or 3? Gosh dang it, I'm getting lost again. There's so many people.
This is getting great.
All right,
You gotta go with the biggest
Friend 1, 2,
food
3, and 4. We're gonna work this out much simpler. So friend 1, 2, and 4 are going out with Sir Walter just to go hit a pub, get some drinks and stuff like that. And they are later joined by friend number 3. As all 5 gentlemen are sitting there hitting their scotch, talking, just, relaxing within the evening. Slowly the time comes that they say their goodbyes. They begin their nice long walk home. But as they're walking home, Sir Walter decides to stop by the museum because he's like, you know what? I'm drunk. Maybe I'll make some connection. And so he goes into the back and he begins to study some more. But as he's studying, he hears a loud crash outside. Well, the loud crash it sounds a decent distance away, but it's still loud enough. He wonders if perhaps it was a coach or an automobile accident. So he decides, you know what? It's getting late. I need to get home. So he leaves the museum and he drives himself home, albeit having a little too much from the bottle. He's still okay. As he wakes up and is going the next day, he drives past where the accident would have happened just to take a look. But as he's driving there, he gets stopped by the police. And when he's stopped by the police, he gets out and says, "What's the matter, officer?" And he goes, "Well, sir, there happens to have been a murder in the alley last evening. We are currently working on it the best as we can." "Well, murder, officer? Well, is it okay to use this street so I might be able to go to work? I am a doctor in the British Museum." He says, "You are a doctor in the British Museum, sir?" He goes, "Yes." "Well, perhaps you might be able to identify the body." He's holding credentials from the museum. Well, Sir Walter he's like, "What is this?" He's worried now. Did one of his friends or did someone he know get hurt, get killed? So he steps out of the automobile and goes into the alley. And when he goes into the alley, the police warn him it's not exactly the greatest sight out there. And as they pull the blanket back, there he sees friend number 2 laying on the ground. There's blood pouring from his chest still. There's some dried blood that's obviously only a few hours old. He confirms it is his friend number 2. The inspector walks over to him and gets the details of what was happening the night before. And as Sir Walter finishes giving the details, he asks the officer, "Sir, how was your friend killed?" He goes, "Well, he was stabbed within his gut with a sword, and then his head was almost completely severed from his body." Well, Sir Walter's pretty worried about this. So he gets out of there and he goes to work to inform everybody else of what happens. And as he informs the staff are pretty shocked at what has happened, but they are sure that the police will handle it. More and more nights begin to go by as they are continuing to decipher the little bits that they possibly can, and they have established it is of the Assyrian Babylonian era. And there's some type of religious significance to it. They can compare it to more religious scrolls that have been confirmed as religious, and there is some similar writings and similar words evenly down on there. Well, after something like that, Sir Walter, he's happy. He goes home for the evening with all of his buddies. 1, 2, no, it's not 1 and 2, 1, 3, and 4 buddies. They go on to their own homes together, slowly letting them off one by one. As he comes into work the next day, Sir Walter sits down at his desk, pulls out his papers, and he begins to examine more again. But then he realized he left some notes. So he walks over to a large cabinet, which holds all of their notes. He opens up the cabinet and he's pulling some notes out. And then he looks and he sees what looks to be a little bit of blood inside the cabinet. So he's looking around in the cabinet and he's like, what is this? And then he turns around, and as he turns around, he sees friend number 4. He is hanging on the door with a knife stuck through his collarbone, holding him there. He's very clearly been dead for a while, but his body has also been moved, as there is not that much blood as there should be. He runs out and gets the security, and immediately the security come to investigate, and they swear that they never heard anything all night at all. But they do say that friend number 4 did come back in the middle of the evening to do some more note looking. Well, he asked to see the notes, and he said, well, sir, he left the notes on the desk over there, and points to the desk Sir Walter just sat on. And Sir Walter, there were just no notes on there. They're gone. Well, they begin to look, and as they search, they don't really find anything besides a little bit of old dust. And as they're searching around the museum, Crusaders that has been mummified, they find that he's laying in a back room on top of something, like somebody tried to move him, but apparently couldn't lift something of like 600 pounds. Well, they put him back in the box, just not sure what's going on. They begin a little bit of a lockdown on the museum until the police conclude their investigation. So Sir Walter and his 2 remaining friends, they find themselves not sure really what's going on, but they trust that the police will handle it. Clearly somebody has it in for museum folks. So all 3 of them decided that they are going to sleep together in the same room for the next month, just to be safe. Well, this was back in the day when in England you could have some firearms. So these gentlemen decided to all 3 buy themselves some revolvers and each keep one in their own bed. Well, as they are just trying to go about their day, they're driving in the road. The sun has gone down. It's a wee bit late at night. All 3 of them are in one automobile with Sir Walter driving. And they're just talking about the tablet, talking about all the death that has gone on. And as they're talking, all of a sudden, something comes flying through the windshield and causes them to wreck. Sir Walter blacks out immediately, not sure what just happened. When he wakes up, though, he sees it's blurry, but there are police and people over him. As he looks around, he realizes he is on a stretcher, and people are treating him. There are medics treating him. As they're treating him, he looks around and asks what's going on. And a police officer, the same one who was there when his buddy was found dead in the alley that other evening, he comes over and he says, well, sir, I was hoping you might be able to tell us. Looks like you got in one pretty bad wreck. I don't know what happened, but as I can guess, something came through the windshield whenever you all wrecked. If you had a lot to drink tonight. He goes, sir, we have not drank a single drop. Well, the officer looks puzzled, and they begin to go back over the scene as well. After a while, they come back to him, and they say, well, sir, they get checked in at their own hospital and get checked out. See, everything seems okay. They're just a little bit banged up. And they decide to go back to the museum so that way they can leave a note for friend number 3. Just in case if he comes back to the museum looking for them. So they go to the museum, they open up the office, they write the note, and they finish it and they walk out. And as they're walking out, they decide that they're just going to go through the back because, just to take a look. They've seen enough of the front. They're just going to go out the back way. They did kind of park there anyway, and since it's a one-way in, one-way out, it'll be a little faster. Well, they're walking through the back way, and they see something tucked away in the corner. As they approach the corner, they see that what's tucked away in the corner is a body of that very same crusader that has apparently been moved and shoved in the corner, like nobody cares about it. These 2 are not happy, so they head and they pull it out and they move it in their very careful way back into the exhibit. And as they move it back into the exhibit, they open up the box in which it is to go into, and inside the box they see the body of their friend. who clearly had been banged up from an accident. It's not what killed him. There's a sword that has been stuck all the way through his gut, and it happens to be one of the swords that they have excavated from that site. Well, the two of them are very, very worried that this cult must have followed them all the way back from Cairo. So they go and inform the police of what happened in Cairo and what they think about it. And the police, they're like, yeah, you know, you probably have somebody from Cairo coming on through. We'll keep an eye on you. We'll keep somebody posted outside your house on a 24-hour watch. So the two men, they're not happy. I mean, they lost 3 of their buddies now, and their car's banged up. And as they're leaving the museum, somebody walks in who Walter recognizes. It's Dr. Petrie from the Cairo Museum. Dr. Petrie, he walks in and he says, "Sir Walter, I think I may have deciphered the tablet." He says, "Sir?" And they said, "Can we go someplace where I might review the tablet?" And they're like, "Okay." So they take him into the back where the tablet is at. And Dr. Petrie picks up the tablet. He says, "Yes, sir, I do believe that I have deciphered this code." Like, "What do you mean? What is it?" He says, "Well, this is a religious text which is some sort of a curse that is apparently going to be upon the one who finds it." So as we look at it, it appears to be of one of the kings of Assyria. And when this king was buried, he was buried as more than just a king. He was buried as like a deity god. And the priests of the Assyrians and the Babylonians came together, and through the arts of their own black magic, it appears that they have not really cursed or blessed his tomb, depending on how you look at it. So any who come across him, they will be, well, they'll be cursed. And it seems to me the one who takes this tablet out of the tomb is the one who's going to be cursed. And Sir Walter looks and says, "Sir, we may have taken that tablet out, but none of my friends who have died in the past week were there. And you say it's one person who is cursed. And what? I don't get it. You know, can you go deeper into this for me, sir?" And he goes, "Well, Sir Walter, I have not deciphered the last little bit of it yet. But as I read, let me just read the bits for you, and perhaps you can find out the last bit." And so he picks up the tablet, and they go under a light. And he begins to read. "Here lies the tomb of my beloved king and God. Let those who disturb the peace, particularly the one who touches this tablet, may they be cursed to forever kill." And then I can't see the rest of it. But as I continue to read on, it continues and picks up right here at the last little bit, where it's just like, "Blessed be this," says one of their gods, and warns people about disturbing the tablet if it's ever buried again. So I don't really know what's going on. And then he flips it over, and he begins to wipe at it, and he sees that there's a little more writing on it. He says, "Well, this will take me some time, but maybe I can recite this." And he begins to recite some ancient Assyrian, Babylonian language. Not sure, no one's sure what he's saying, except Dr. Petrie, apparently. And as Dr. Petrie is reciting this, they hear a clatter in the back. So they look, because like, "Oh, shoot, something just fell." And as they look in the back, they see that the crate that one of the Crusaders' bodies in has fallen apart. And, they're like, "Oh, shoot, this thing got destroyed." And they're looking at it, and they realize. And Sir Walter calls out to Dr. Petrie and his surviving friend. And they come and take a look. And as they see this massive Crusader slowly walking towards him, they decide they're going to go run and get the guards. So they run to get the guards. As they turn around, the Crusader starts running after them. And as they're running on through, they get lost in the back rooms, in the twists and the turns and in the darkness. Well, Sir Walter, he's running, and finally he realizes he's got to find some way out, even if he's got to fight his way out. So he grabs a shield from the Holy Roman Empire in the 1600s, well, more like 1500s, as well as he manages to grab a mace, a very fast weapon he might be able to deflect with. And as he's wandering around, he hears a loud scream combined with the sound of something slamming into flesh. He rounds the corner and he sees the Crusader stabbing his friend right through the gut, just like all the others. As the person drops, the Crusader looks at him, and he starts to walk toward him, but then he collapses. He calls out for Dr. Petrie, and Dr. Petrie, after a while, finds Sir Walter with his dead buddy and this Crusader laying on the floor. The two of them know what they have seen, so they get out and they find the guards, telling them what they have seen. And the two men, they're dubbed insane, and they're both put into a mental asylum that very evening. Well, the two of them are absolutely panicked because they know that this thing's going to come back again and again and again, possibly. And they would need to get out. Well, they make a very quick escape plan, and being smart gentlemen like themselves, they escape in the evening. And as they escape in the evening, they're running along the bogs of the Rhine River. Well, not the Rhine, the Thames River. And as they're running, they decide they got to get out of town because Sir Walter does have a estate some ways out of town where they might be able to get some stuff. And as they're running on through, they come across a coach, and they ask the coach to take them to Sir Walter's estate. As they're riding to Sir Walter's estate, all of a sudden the horse stops and jerks, throwing the rider off. Dr. Petrie and Sir Walter, they're worried at this, but hopefully it's just like some snake or something. And they get out, and as they get out, they see the driver being lifted up by that same Crusader and having a sword driven right through his gut. Well, the two of them, they see the Crusader start running towards them, and the two of them begin to run off. They're running together in the same direction, just not too close to each other. As they are running, they are slowly fleeing all the way back into London itself. Well, they get into London, and it's pretty late at night, and they're dodging through dark alleyways to try to lose the Crusader, but the Crusader seems to have their positions exactly. After a while, they see the museum, and they think that maybe they can, they know that museum very well. They might be able to buy some time or get out or get to one of the guards or something. So they rush into the museum through the back door, which was just hanging open. And as they get on in, they begin to find weapons and stuff. And then the Crusader, he stopped when he said stop in the language of the Assyrians. And as he looked at him, he said he hops in and knocks the tablet off. When the tablet hits the ground, the Crusader immediately just drops, like goes complete ragdoll. Well, they wait there for a few minutes, and then they're looking at him, and he still doesn't move, and so they step over him. Well, they go on through the museum and call the authorities, but no, they want to call the authorities, but they know that there's no reason to. So instead, they book passes for Cairo. That way they might go to the Cairo Museum and perhaps work there. But they decide that they're going to take all the evidence that they have with them of the tablets, everything. When they arrive at Cairo, they find a new person has got on who specializes in languages. They show him pictures of the tablet. And as he reads the bit for them in pure English, the part that they could not read read this: "The one who takes these tablets from the holy resting place shall be cursed to kill any who stumble upon it after it is reburied." So realizing this, they finally put together the story. What had happened was these Crusaders must have stumbled upon the tomb of this Assyrian king, and for some reason taken the tablet out, not knowing that they were just making a curse for themselves. And they guessed that the Crusader that had been hunting them all this time was the very one who had touched that tablet, who had taken it into that cave, who, as he took it into that cave, the rocks would fall, sealing them inside. And then the jackals, which were basically the foxes of the desert, would kill the other Crusaders. And then people would come by and bury them later. But the three mummified Crusaders, one of them would be cursed, for whoever touches that tablet and removes it from its resting place must be hunted down and killed in any way, shape, or form. Although it was his friends that died and not him or Dr. Petrie, that did kind of puzzle Sir Walter. he does always worry about the possibility that maybe that crusader will come back. Even though the tablet is destroyed, does it break the curse? Well, he's only going to find out one way. And he and Dr. Petrie, they are not leaving anytime soon for anywhere in the world. They decide they're going to make their stand right here in Cairo, where they have the local legends and the local stories that they may discover the true story of what happened to the
What
cursed
company are you
crusader.
boys in?
The
6 Arizona. That was a good story.
Yes, sir. Story time is always a good time.
You guys all in war,
I
right?
keep making Turtle late.
Yeah,
for work.
we're
That's something. He got
assassins
done with.
doing story time in the drill camp.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I just finished
At this
up with one of the
point-
stories.
At this point, I think my microphone's just broken.
Got it. Well, hey, man, if you can just work with it. Yeah, I'm happy.
I liked it. I enjoyed it. Was that it?
I'm happy to tell the story, boys. And I spend time with these stories. And by the way, if you want an origin story, I've told the origin stories of many people here in Arkansas. I can make up an origin story for you guys right now if you want.
I gotta go to bed soon, but I'd love to hear it next weekend after.
Yeah,
I
next weekend.
we can. Yeah, I can get back into story time a little bit more. My internet may not be good for events, but story time is a complete other thing. I'm sure it'll work out in its own way.
Wait, did you make up all that, like, as you went?
Not all of it. I've spent a little bit of time thinking of it, but I've had a busy week, so some of the last bits I had to improvise on.
Oh, wow. I thought you were, like, reading off a script or something.
Yeah, not gonna lie, Sam.
For a second, it sounded like the movie The Mummy.
The Mummy. Yep. Yeah, I get why it sounded like the movie The Mummy. I tried to make it. See, I watch a lot of horror movies, and I thought, you know what? There's not a lot about, like, cursed crusaders. Why not make one about a cursed crusader who, while he was crusading in the Holy Land, came across something he shouldn't have meddled with?
What crusader?
I'm trying to think, what's another one of my good stories? I can retell the story of the psychotic doctor if you want. I've told that like 3 times.
Pepsi's origin story.
You gotta
There was this
tell
guy
these boys
beating off a
anything they
Pepsi
haven't
can.
Do you read a lot of books?
Pepsi's origin story. I mean, I could do that if he's got time. I'd like the person to be here for the origin story, though.
I should have
Yeah,
gone
I'm
to
gonna
bed an
go
hour and a half ago. I would love to hear it, though.
Got it. Yeah, if you guys got to go to bed, go ahead and go to bed.
If you
Yeah,
read
I'm
books,
ahead on that
have you
too.
ever read The Knights Templar? The Knight's Youngest
I
Templar?
really enjoyed that.
I have not read that.
It's kind of like an